This is the story of the East Midlands journey over the first year of the National Dementia Strategy.
The Dementia Strategy was launched in February 2009, and it was my role to get people involved who were currently living with dementia. What we did, we started a discovery programme of actively listening to people living with dementia and their carers about what was working well for them at that current time. This led into creation of a regional vision where we pulled a lot of people together in one room. We spent the whole day looking at what it would look like if we had a dream service. Appreciative inquiry is a new way of thinking. Traditionally in public services we look at the problem, we try to resolve that, but that tends to lead to isolation of that problem. What appreciative inquiry does is look at the whole system and works on what's working well.
The East Midlands Strategic Health Authority held a series of discovery meetings in which people with dementia and their carers talked to each other about what living well means to them.
We're all individuals at the end of the day. It's no good putting one set system in and hoping it's going to cover all. It won't.
Being able to do things that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I've been able to do almost anything that I want to do.
Living well with dementia, to me, is the help that I get at home, the friends that I've made through dementia, my family, but most of all my husband. The time spent with him. Unfortunately, he has lost the ability to speak, but I do on occasions get really big smiles from him, big hugs and lots of kisses. So from that point of view, that's my living with dementia.
An early message was that we are in it together. This is something that can affect everyone and will become a real challenge for us all over the next 50 years. This core group of people with dementia and their carers worked together to plan a regional summit meeting.
What would I like to see coming out of the conference in October? Real evidence that the people that can make a difference have listened to what's being said, by the actions that they take and the changes that ensue from those actions.
I think I would like people to be able to have their diagnosis earlier and be aware of what help and benefits are available to them. They might not need them right away, but they need to know what's there, what's out there for them.
I'm hoping to make a change because I've seen the system and know that it's not right. The only way that we can change the system is to stand up and say, this is not right, this is not what we need. So the time is right now to stand up and say, this is the time to make the changes. You need to listen to people, what people with dementia have actually got to say. You need to respond to that and you need to change. Time is now.
Their stories and wishes were captured on film, in writing, as pictures and as posters to inform the regional summit.
At the regional summit we had 180 people and we were really conscious to get a real diagonal slice of staff to be attending there. We wanted staff who were working on the front line, we were wanting staff who were managing services. We had managers there from care homes, from the acute hospital, we had staff from the ambulance service, from the voluntary service. So we tried to ensure that across the East Midlands we had lots and lots of different people that were there who would be affected by the decisions that we made. We used art for people to be able to express what they were thinking, what they were dreaming about, and people said that they found that really helpful because they had a lot of information in their heads, but getting it down on pieces of paper was making them able to understand the system more, but also enable creativity. So when we were looking at new services, it was getting people to think slightly different about the traditional services. The regional summit gave us a regional vision, so people were able to go away with that vision and try and implement it into their local areas. So they took stories away with them about what a perfect service would look like and what people really wanted out of that service, and all of that fed into the workshops. So the workshop was a process about getting from A to B, but what the vision did was get people focused on what local people really wanted.
Workshops were held in Northamptonshire, Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire between November 2009 and March 2010.
In facilitating the workshop, we started really looking at what all the localities wanted to do and what they wanted to get out of service improvements around the dementia strategy. And we needed to run 25 workshops across the whole of the region. That's a massive, big project.
We visited each location at different stages of their discovery journey. In the first workshop, commissioners, professionals, people with dementia and their carers came together to map a baseline of current local services and to imagine what their ideal service would look like in the future. The sharing of information brought people together to produce thoughts of a common vision for which dementia services should be available in the future.
The success we would like to see is a seamless individual focus of service accessible by all.
We would like a charter for dementia where users and carers are made aware of what good practice is and what they can expect from a service.
Participants were amazed to discover local services they had not known existed and explored areas of duplication and overlap. Having found out which services are currently available, they were assessed between mild, mid, and later stages of dementia, focusing on how they met the needs of people with dementia and their carers. This exercise was designed to highlight the gaps in the services and how they could be improved.
In terms of training for carers, again we hedged our bets. We sort of went for a full gap, suggesting that there's nothing dementia specific, may be right or it might be wrong.
Training was highlighted as a gap for everyone. Using the information from the previous two workshops, the dementia classification was split into 4 stages, ranging from early onset to end of life.
Our first one was that we looked at a tipping factor might be the progression of the disease, so somebody whose dementia was actually progressing, and we felt that that could be balanced by early diagnosis and treatment, help for people to stay normal, and by that we felt that people who are enabled in an enabling environment can actually hold back the symptoms. It might not stop the progression, but being treated positively and working in a very positive way helps people.
By including people with dementia and their carers in these conversations, we are basing our knowledge of what tips people into greater need on real-life experiences rather than guesses.
So our dementia service we would want to hold its own budget.
You should be able to access, in effect, a hospital at home.
A team without walls, we've called it, which is a fully comprehensive team in the community, comprising of social care staff, primary care staff and mental health specialist staff. And they would be 100% staffed and 100% trained and competent. And they'll be available 24 hours a day with very easy access.
I think traditionally, if we haven't engaged with people, we get the decisions wrong. And I think by asking the people who the decisions affect, that's when we get the right answers. And I think if we can take those answers and put them into our strategies, we're more likely to get a better outcome.
In this workshop, the groups looked in detail at their ideals from the previous workshop and explored whether the service already existed in a different form, which needed improving or recommissioning. The groups also looked at services which don't currently fulfil a requirement that could be decommissioned and be replaced with a more suitable service. This workshop created lots of debate and argument about what is needed and the priorities for development. Participants realised that lots could be achieved without new resources or money by thinking creatively and working together towards a common goal.
Our reflections were that there is much work that could be done to unify the current services rather than actually buy anything new.
The first specification we looked at writing was an awareness campaign, and through the conversation, through writing it all out, we can actually do a campaign in line with the National Dementia Strategy Week in July, and we can deliver that free with a couple of people around the table because all the products there, the models there. So we've actually, at the beginning of the day, made an assumption that we need all these millions of money, but we can meet one of our objectives free.
People come together and go on a journey of learning and discovery. So the consequence of that is better outcomes, a better journey through services for someone with dementia, and hopefully, and importantly, cost savings.
The final workshop in the commissioning process brought together all the previous knowledge and information which had been gathered. The ideal services were prioritised by how effective they will be and how easy or difficult they will be to implement. Each ideal service was scored by these two factors to highlight those services on which the locality will concentrate.
So in terms of taking decisions about, when we've only got limited amount of money that we can invest, either by recycling from one part of the system or from any other source, that will help with the prioritisation sort of process.
The main things that came out of people living with dementia, when we did the discovery work, people were saying to us, we want early medication, we want the right medication at the right time, we want happy staff, we want quality services, but if you train people, that's where we're going to get the quality. We want to have homely environments, not clinical environments. We want things like aromatherapy. We want things like art for our day centres. We want to be able to do things with our family. We want individual budgets. So there was a lot around the process of, okay, the service looks like this, but we want it to look like this. But there was also real personal quality things which actually don't cost a lot of money.
Eliminating waste by shared mapping of existing resources and identifying clear priorities for the future, these have been models of quality, innovation, productivity and prevention in action.
Our work in the East Midlands has been particularly interesting because it's the first time that we've actually developed a regional implementation programme in quite this way. And I think one of the strengths of that work has been the way in which colleagues in the local authority and the NHS have come together to work as a single entity. We are confident that that is actually going to result in significantly better outcomes for people with dementia in the East Midlands.
Activity across the region will be reviewed regularly, and the original core group of people with dementia and their carers continues to meet to share experiences, opinions and wishes.
I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone that's been involved. We could never have achieved what we've achieved in this past year without that energy and enthusiasm. And also as well, the most important bit is a big thank you to people who were struggling to live well with dementia but brought forward their stories, which enabled us to really get a better future for the predicted growth that we know is going to be there in a couple of years' time.
This film has shown what can be achieved when people who need to use dementia services are involved in their planning and commissioning. A vibrant journey, we have revealed just the tip of this experience. The laughter, tears, anger, sorrow, and daily challenge of living with dementia. At the end of its first year, people in the East Midlands are proud of what they have achieved for the dementia strategy.
It's been great to be involved and to feel that we're being listened to. As a specific highlight, I think I'd probably pick out the one-day conference that we had last October, where the energy for doing something in the room was palpable. It gave me some hope that actually something might change.
I think knowing that we're going to be able to help other people and knowing that there is hope. I think that's the main thing that came out of it.
Talk to us, shout about it, talk about dementia, raise awareness, don't be frightened of it. It is a nasty disease, but it's something we all have to face, we all have to talk about.
And I'm very grateful to have been given the opportunity to speak my views. And I'm glad that so far I feel they're being listened to. I'll say again, I just want to see them being delivered.
I just want the service to be better.
The feeling of togetherness, that we're in it together was definitely a good phrase to take ahead. We are all in it together.